Alright, Shapes, and welcome to a... I wanted to do a welcome back thing. Anyway, welcome back to another... welcome back to the expedition of the Anime Encyclopedia. That's what I wanted to do, but like... welcome to another edition. I'm too used to that. Oh well. How's my audio? I decided to change the music a little bit. This is a loop of 40 minutes of easy listening no, of Moomin music, for like rain and thunder sounds, and it's just like from the 90s soundtrack. And I was just listening to it as I was reading, and I'm like, this is just nice. I don't need to switch to the lo-fi. But let me know if you can actually still hear it, because it's very faint. Like, it's very quiet soundtrack, right? Hello, Greg. So we're going through the rest of D tonight. And I wanted to tweet something, a reply to somebody, but I wanted to find the photo on my phone, so I'm just looking. We'll wait like a few minutes before we get started. Started, you know how it be. Oh yeah. Someone's talking about harmonies in modern anime, and I wanted to discuss it. Well, not discuss it, but like was seeing conversation about it. I was gonna ask what the music was because it's familiar. I really like Tanoshimu Minika. Oh yeah, it's good stuff. All right. I'm not jinxing it. I'm not talking about IRL stuff. I've been reading with you, says PokePat. Hey, that's cool. Very interesting stuff. Have you, so you must probably have read the Dragon Ball entry this stream. We finally got to Dragon Ball. That was interesting. You know, it's funny, I remember it was one of the first articles I read, and because I had seen it being referenced in Kotaku's review of it, being like, some of these entries are not fully accurate, which is crazy. And it's particularly notable with Dragon Ball with how popular that show is, right? And I think I have a little more insight. I think I have some insight into why it's like that, and also more of an explanation of how actually kind of incorrect it is, and kind of a little strange. I started Sabungal, but I'm having a hard time paying attention. I seem to have that problem with a lot of Tomino anime. Same. Oh, 100% same. I'm watching Elgaim right now, and I have the same problem. It's really hard for me to concentrate. I'm not engaged pretty much with what's going on. I have a vague idea. Like, they started just kind of being just general, just kind of going around. Like, the first episode, they get this card that from this guy, and they have to deliver it to Amandara Kamandara, and they finally, that takes a couple episodes, and then by the time they get to him, they've kind of gotten entangled with another planet and like a war. Like, there's just some conflict with another army and stuff, so they're kind of fighting in that thing. And they got into the recent episode, they got into space, and they met up with the woman who's in the OP. But it is mostly just a character thing. I just really like seeing the two girls being like rivals. Elgaim, at least. Elgaim passes the Bechdel test, which is or the Bechdel test, I believe it's called. It's the test to be like. The test is simple. Two women. They have to be having a conversation, There were two named characters. Two named female characters. Two named female characters that are having a conversation about anything else besides a guy. And Elgheim does pass that test. Granted, a lot of it is kind of their rivalry is rooted in the fact that they both like the main guy, but like, it kind of goes beyond that. They have conversations otherwise, sort of deal. At least I like to think of it like that. I imagine a lot of Tomino anime pass the Bechdel test for that reason, which is funny. But yeah, most Tomino anime don't hold my attention at first, and then I really enjoy it. And then yeah, it's just like I really enjoy them on a like a moment-to-moment and an aesthetic basis. You know what I mean? When I watch Tomino, I kind of like to take it slow while also turning off my brain. If you really just let the story happen, Tomino works. It just works, man. It just works. I love that. Yeah. I don't wholly agree with the turn your brain off thing, but it's okay. It's what it is. Couple minutes in, let's get into the notes. Yay. Note 2. So this is the first edition, of course, meaning that we're first doing the comparisons between the first edition and looking and like reading each article basically twice to make sure that the wording is the same and seeing if there's any differences. Because part of the intrigue to see is to see how much has changed from the first edition, which was written in 2000 or 2001, to the third edition, which was written or came out in 2015. Spoilers, it's not a whole lot. Compared to how much writing is in here, it's this oh, that's odd choices, I'm sorry. The changes are up here. So these are all changes right here. Which seems like a good deal, but considering how much writing is in here, it's not as much as you would expect. It's not two completely different books. It's definitely a revised edition. I watched James Old says I watched a really odd like double fan sub translation of the first Elgheim movie a long time ago. I should watch it in a more appropriate fashion. Yeah. Elgheim's the worst Tomino anime if you don't count Garzey's Wing. Okay, interesting take. I mean that's certainly a take. I've never heard of that. I think everyone who's checked out Elgheim likes Elgheim, but then again, everyone that's checked Elgheim is going to like Elgheim because it's Tomino. Like, it's so not pop. I think it's his most obscure. I would imagine it's either that or Daitarn. In terms of like his main original series, it's probably either Daitarn or Elgheim that are the most obscure. So I can imagine it's like the only people that watch it are the people who already like Tomino. So it's hard to make an objection on that. And that's Jaleka saying that. It's also one that he has the most hands-off with, so it's not really surprising. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. Haven't seen Elgheim yet. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the changes. Divine challenging enchantment included Romaji name for the spin-off. Extra thing. Not too many crazy changes in this reading. DNA squared, they add this little blurb about during the synopsis. They're like, oh, compared to the later Girls Bravo and Hanyaku's mate team. Dr. Dolittle, they added a little bit about how only the first episodes were broadcast in Japan, and it's not to be confused with the 70s cartoon series. So that's interesting. They probably got some feedback on at least the 70s cartoon. Oh, is that the same thing? No. Which is funny because it's like the date is in the entry, you know. Dog of Flanders. I'll talk about Dog of Flanders later, but this was a pretty good article, actually, I thought. There's a new chunk about how the World Masterpiece Theater Show used the artist Ruben's original art. Like the artist that the main character is enamored with, instead of trying to recreate it, they used his, like, a photograph, and it co-opts him as one of the anime's earliest background artists, is something they made a mention of, and I'm like, that's kind of neat. Well, that observation of that is really neat. OP is really great. I like OP2 for Elgheim. I used it for my Gurren Lagann video. The OP1 I do like. Heavy metal. Yeah, that's fun. It's a good OP. The second one's even better. The second one is actually god tier. It literally made me tear up listening to that OP before before I even way before I watched it. Like, I don't know. I think it probably was like Invader Alex tweeting about it that I listened to the OP and I'm like, oh, what is this? And I loved it. And I listened to it like a couple more times, and there was some point where I literally cried in the shower or like cried at some point when listening to it a lot. It was a lot, that's what you do. Oh, out of his 80s post Gundam stuff, I imagine Dunbine to be his most obscure. No, really? I'll talk about Dunbine later, but they mentioned how Garzey's Wing was the only Dunbine thing to ever make it into the US, like even as of 2015. And I'm like, I thought maybe I was confusing it with Lotus War, but I thought Dunbine was like a pretty well liked early 2000, like at least they didn't have it in the 80s like when it came out, but I thought it was released. So that's interesting. Maybe not. Interesting. Dogtanian. Dave Malo is no longer with quotations. So in the first edition, like, they were talking about the British localization, which apparently this show, Dogtanian, it's like a Three Musketeers but with dogs. That show is actually really popular on British television, and this guy Dave Mallow is like one of the producers or something like that, and they're like, Dave Mallow, and I'm like, and in the third edition it's like, no, it's Dave Mallow without any quotations. So I'm like, oh, did it turn out that was actually a real person's name? That was funny. Or maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason. Domain of Murder. The production was ill-served in English, and then they have this, in the first edition, they have this quote, this block of text that was completely removed. They just say the production was ill-served in English, and then in the first edition it says, with a distributor who managed to mistranslate the names of the creator, writer, main cast, and director, which is nuts. And then it's interesting that it's removed. Why was this removed from the third edition? At least the third edition. Maybe it's still in the second edition. We don't know. That's interesting, isn't it? Is that true or not? I don't know. It doesn't matter much to me because it's a localization thing, like at the time. And I think also Domain of Murder, it's like a hentai or something. I don't know. So it doesn't really matter, but it's still interesting. I knew about Dunbine in like 06. It was suggested to me. Okay. I haven't more than just liked the Tomino work so far. Gundam 79 and Ideon movie were the best I've seen, and they were like 6 out of 10s, 6.5 out of 10s for me. Damn! I've seen all his Gundam stuff, Ideon and Garzey. Maybe I'm forgetting something. Damn. I like Ideon a hell of a lot more than a 6.5 out of 10. Well, that's fine. They shifted Dawn Brutal War Margin they shuffled the order around. Originally it was after Don Quixote, and now it's after Dominion. So it was it moved up a little, it got bumped a little ahead, basically. My stomach's grumbling now. Great. Maybe, I don't think it's because I'm hungry. I think it's because I'm eating this smoked ham. Maybe that was a bad idea. Well, can't do much about it now. Oh well. Don Quixote, yeah. In the Don Quixote article, they changed the name of the character, Rosianti, to Rosianti, whatever. Doom Megalopolis, which is also a good article. Cut whole chunk of synopsis that described the ending. Like, they did a lot of synopsis for it, and then they have this whole paragraph that just, like, at the end, and then this and this, and turns out this and this, and they just spoil a bunch of it, and they cut it all out. They cut that spoiling ending out. I'm like, wow, I think that's the first time they've done that, where they've actually removed spoilers from something. I mean, I think they removed spoilers from Angel's Egg, but that was also just completely revised, the synopsis. But, like, they just removed it, and they kept the rest of the synopsis good. So, that was interesting. Sorry, James. Oh no, did I miss the DNA 2 reading? No, I have not read DNA Squared. I just mentioned that they added this little blurb to it. I'm very early in the stream, Hazel. Eating's a hassle. Yeah. But I can read DNA squared for you if you'd like. Um, when I get to it. Do Megalops. Yeah. So they took that chunk out. They added a Toki Zoshi to like their it's like, oh, it's like historical references to this thing. See this show as well as the Toki Zoshi. They didn't have the Toki Zoshi in the first edition. They changed World War II to Pearl Harbor. Like when Japan was getting ready for World War II. And then the third edition is when Japan was getting ready in 1940 when they were getting ready for Pearl Harbor. So they kind of made a better clarification of that. Hey Greg, why did they spoil stuff sometimes? I didn't get it. I don't know either. It'll be really getting to this section in like this inevitable summation video that I make hopefully. I was literally picturing in my head how many of these fucking titles they spoil. Like spoilers for, if you're gonna read the encyclopedia, spoilers for all of these anime. We're only in D. This is unacceptable. There's no reason for most of these. I honestly can't think of a reason. I'd have to go back and look at these again, but there's not a single one of these where I was like, okay, it makes sense you spoiled that because that's important to the rest of the thing. I don't know. Some of them are premise stuff, but no, the majority of them is, oh, this happens at the end. Why? My stomach! No! I don't know what you want me to do, man. It's not like nope. You know what it was? It's because I've been on this food plan for about a week, and then my body is like, I eat this, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm sorry, dude. I didn't want to make the whole thing. It's stream time almost. It also doesn't help that I have to talk a lot. Great. Why did this? Yeah. Doraemon. A couple changes, of course, because it's still an ongoing series. They changed expected to be 2,000 episodes by the end of 2004 to expected to top 3,000 episodes by the end of 2014. Although I did look it up, there is at least on Mal, there is a deliberate separation between the 1979 series that lasted 1,471 episodes, or 1,800 episodes, or something like that. It's expected to top 2,000 by the end of 2004, which probably was close to happening, I think. I don't think it actually made it to 2000. And then there's a 2005 series that has still been going on till this day. And maybe they're just counting the rest of like that together because it's just a seamless, like a 1 week difference and at the same time slot, and there's not an actual difference or anything. But yeah, expected to top 3,000 by 2014 or something they changed. They cut this mention. This little mention about the movie something South Sea or whatever being the 8th highest grossing animated film in Japan, and they just cut that little chunk out. They mentioned the movie, but they just be like, oh, this happens to be the 8th highest. They cut that part out. Hi Shaves, hope I'm not too late. No, you're pretty early, Alice. Good to see you. Added blurb about subsequent movies from 2002 to 2004. In 2005, they changed the seiyus, and so that's that delineation. Apparently, I imagine there was a couple differences that shifted that. Yeah, but they mentioned that 2006 movie and the fact that it's like a cultural ambassador. So that's like the only time, at least as of the 3rd edition, where Doraemon was officially available in English. But otherwise, it's completely unknown. They say, although they do have the CG movie, Goodbye to Me Doraemon something. My stomach is really hating me right now. Oh, God. Don't worry, it'll figure itself out. 2007 to 2013 movies, the 2011 live-action Toyota commercials as well. They added. Dororo, they added a blurb about inspiration for Blood Will Tell. I think it's a game. And then also there's a live-action 2007 film. Of course, they don't have the 2019 remake. Because this was 3rd edition, 2015. Dororon Enma, they included this little like Sea Demon Prince Enma, because Dororon Enma is a 73 series by Gonagai, and it got like a reboot, kind of like a reimagining in the 2000s. Dragon Ball, there are changes to the Dragon Ball entry, but pretty much all of them are additions because it's still technically ongoing. but they didn't change pretty much any of the main article, like the majority of it, which is where a lot of the problems are coming from, which we'll talk about later. But Dragon Ball, they added the fact they mentioned the disappointing, they call it a disappointing Hollywood outing. Just interesting. I never heard it described as disappointing. I mean, I think people were a little more pissed than disappointing. They also added a paragraph about its how it remains a perennial anime franchise. Mentioned DBZ Kai as well as Battle of Gods. Original Dororo is nice. I really like Dororo Classic for some reason. Yeah, so it's a Gisabu Usugi anime, and I imagine it's good. Here's the thing, though. Yeah, well, and I'll mention this again probably when I talk about Dragon Ball a little more in the odd choices, but they got some stuff kind of wrong about Dragon Ball, or it seems like there's stuff that doesn't seem right, that should have gotten a rewrite in the 14 years since it came out, since the first edition came out. It didn't get pretty much any rewrites in the same way. It just got additional information. However, the two articles right after it, or close to it, Dragon Knight and Dragon Pink, for Dragon Knight, the synopsis is almost completely rewritten. And for Dragon Pink, the synopsis is almost entirely rewritten. Synopsis is completely rewritten, like completely. And then Dragon Pink, synopsis is almost entirely rewritten. So like they weren't against. So like I don't know what convinced them to change the synopsis for these two shows, these two, Dragon Knight and Dragon Pink, but not Dragon Ball? Were they really that confident that they were correct in their presumption? They were like, oh, it's just annoying Dragon Ball fans. No, we're right. Like, what? but you like, you changed these and not Dragon Ball? It's just made like a new layer of strange, honestly. Mira Mira Enmakun's great, totally different from the original, and I loved every episode. Went full lewd. Oh yeah, nice. The article really confused me with Dragon Ball. There were a lot of things that I didn't get it, and it felt like they didn't really take in the show. Take in the show? I don't know if they watched it. I don't know if they watched it, my dude. Dragon Pink is a hentai. Yes, it is. And funny enough, their description of it, and then me looking it up, I actually looked at the visual for this because it was one of those titles that I wrote down as I'm actually interested in. But it's funny because like I don't want to really watch any hentai, but that was like, there are a few exceptions that I'm willing to go out of my way for if I hear or am personally interested in them for reasons other than being hentai. You know, like Belladonna of Sadness or Urutsuki Doji. I'm not really interested in Bible Black, even though obviously it has a lot more notoriety to it. I'm not really interested. But Dragon Pink actually sounds like a fun time. It's softcore, like hentai is like the last genre tag, like it's technically hentai, but like it really doesn't sound it as much, which is, I don't know, sounds like a fun comedy thing. Dragon Ball can be a real hassle sometimes for Dragon Ball fans, I should say. That's what I mean. Like I bet it was just Dragon Ball fans crawling up their ass and they're like, nope, fuck you. You didn't ask nicely. We're gonna shoot ourselves in the foot for 2 more editions just because you didn't ask nicely. I really don't see the logic of not changing it, of why it's like that, and we'll get to that. You have to watch Cream Lemon. Yes, Cream Lemon's the other one. Cream Lemon's definitely the other one that I would be interested in. Really on a historical basis, you know. But because I like Project A-ko a lot, all right? I love Project A-ko, and I want to know more of where it came from. That's why. But more besides the rewritten stuff, Dragon Knight, they added some info about the North American release, their description of the sequel, and they mentioned a 4-episode sequel. Really updated edition article for this one. The original one was very underwhelming. Dragon Slayer, they added a based on a game. I guess it's a Trails game, like it's a Falcom, and so I'm like, oh, okay. There's more fantasy and some H scene happens. Dragon Ball fans will debate something that was never established in the show or manga. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That does sound like them. Swapped Dragonar and Dragon's Heaven in like the order of where they show up in the first edition. Dragonar, they added, though it was certainly an improvement on Double Zeta Gundam, which it immediately followed, which I'll probably mention again in the odd choices, because, like, I don't know why they said that. There's more context, but, like, they said that Dragonar was trying to be the next Gundam. It wasn't. And then the third edition says it wasn't, though it was better than Double Zeta. And I'm like, what does that have to do with any? Like, jeez, why did you have to put that in? What the fuck? Ugh. It also gives some more ammo to the fact that, like, oh, maybe these guys were the reason we all thought Double Zeta was shit. Maybe. Anyway, Dream Hunter Rem, they added sequels, had their own subtitles, like, etc. They gave the names of the other titles and stuff. They just gave additional stuff. They changed this little line here. They have REM is named after REM, which is a rapid eye movement, a phenomenon of deep sleepers in the first edition. And then there's a rapid eye movement, a phenomenon of light sleepers, so the opposite. So they was probably corrected on that. Like, well, that makes sense because light sleepers, you know, they're moving their eyes a lot. Gonna have to watch Kite at some point. Yeah, Kite as well. Yep. A lot of hate for ZZ out there. I'll always say that Gundam ZZ is a fun watch. Not perfect, but fun. Yeah. I avoid, like, the thing is that I didn't watch it at first because, and I still haven't watched it, because I watched original, and then I watched Zeta, and Zeta is, like, really heavily praised and, like, loved by a lot of people. I saw it on a lot of people's favorites on Hummingbird back in the day. And then I watched it, and I really wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like it. It's fine. I mostly didn't like it. I was really discouraged by it. And I'm like, fuck, if people think ZZ is the bad one, I'm not fucking watching that, you know? So that was why I didn't end up watching it. But then I watched Gainer way later, and I actually watched Gainer after I watched Turn A Gundam. And I liked Turn A Gundam, but I didn't love it. Because, again, I wasn't a Tomino fan. And then when I watched Gainer with a friend, because I liked the OP a lot, I was like, oh, this dialogue's so weird. Wait a second, that's just like all of his dialogue. Oh, this is weird. And I liked it a lot more. And Gainer was like, kind of clicked it for me. And that's just my experience, and I've said this before. But yeah, so I have to rewatch Zeta and then watch Double Zeta. At least ZZ knew it was funny. Yeah. Drifting Clouds, Haguregumo. They changed it. Apparently, the name of the main character, in the first edition they call him Ukigumo, but it's actually Haguregumo. I don't know how they got that wrong. It's also the name of the show. Like, Haguregumo is the name of in Ramaji. Instead of Drifting Clouds, like the localization they gave it. But they called it Ukigumo in the 2001 edition as well, which is weird. They also changed this a little bit. I guess they kind of had a confusion of the plot. Ryoma is inspired by Haguregumo to be like a better person, whatever. And then it's actually Roma's attacker is inspired by Haguregumo to whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, that's two different people. Ah, okay. And then finally, Dunbine, they have this little mention of like, yeah, Rings of Reen came out in 2005. That's literally it. They don't say anything else. It's like, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I think Zeta was the least of the classic Gundam. I was so bored watching it, I did not like it. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, no, I did. I mean, I thought I was alone. I felt totally isolated by it. I was like, what the hell? Anime Night, yeah. Oh yeah, the OP and ED for Double Zeta are great. Yeah, I do like them. I also like them for original Zeta too. Double Zeta, yeah, I like them as well. Anyway, there's some new entries, at least from I can tell. Again, I look in the first edition. It's not, you know, I'm looking alongside the third edition, and I'm like, wait, where's that entry? Kind of look around a little bit. Oh, it's not here. Look in the index for like the Japanese name. And usually it should be in there. They fucking list all Nobita, like the Doraemon movies. They literally have like an entire list of the Nobita movies. Of like, Nobita's the main character. Like, they literally have like, clarify. Ah. Yeah, there we go. They literally have like Nobita's blah, Nobita's this, Nobita's that, Nobita's this, Nobita's that, like over here on the far left. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, all of the titles they mention in the first one are in here. So if it's not in the index, it's not in the book, to my knowledge. Maybe it's something else happened. I don't know. I've had weird things happen before. But for now, from what I know, Dodge Dompe is a new entry from 91. Dokachin from 68. Dokkan Robo Tendon from 95. Dorvac, I think I've heard of Dorvac, from 83. Dreamy Urashima from 1925. And Dumpling Brothers from 99. Yeah, so I couldn't find any of those in the first edition, when they could have been. Like 2001, like I get it, like it just came out or whatever. But yeah. Seeing the changes everything really get me. There are some where I'm just so confused. Yeah, I'm sure that I don't know if they even have like recollection if you ask them of like, hey, so this changed from this edition to this edition, do you know why? Yeah. Sorry the misspelling, walking my dog and listening. Oh, cool. Vrf. I don't know who that is. I don't know what that is. Hello. No removed entries yet. We're going on to opinions. We got first the positive opinions, at least what I consider positive. Dogtanian. They thought it was a touchy, funny, and exciting retelling. It's a much-loved serial on British children's television. Domain of Murder, they were positive about. It's sadly only one episode. It wasn't a hentai to my knowledge. It was like a long-running manga series, and it was like a one-episode OVA. And they have the, you know, it's a light. They're not glowing about it, but they're like, yeah, there's only one episode, unfortunately, of this really long-running series. They had some really excellent voice performances, and the script contains beautifully observed moments such as blah blah blah, little things like that. So they liked it. Don Quixote, I considered it as a positive. They bring up the main character's insanity is brought to the force by this voice actor who positively foams at the mouth. I'm like, yeah, I guess it sounds positive. Like, it sounds like it's intentional, you know, a good thing. Oh boy, I love opinions. Don't Leave Me Alone, Daisy. They thought it had a salutary message, and I did write salutary as one of the words I had to look up. Let me look it up again. Salutary. Especially with reference to something unwelcome or unpleasant, producing good effects, beneficial, a salutary reminder of where we came from. Okay. The salutary message buried beneath a light-hearted school romance, strangely endearing. This is like about a stalker or whatever. And that was actually one of the titles I wrote down as ones I'm actually interested to look up later. Doomed Megalopolis. They liked it. They basically call it Japan's own version of Dracula, which is pretty high praise for them, I think. Often labored and slow, but still has many good points. It has like surreal backgrounds and surreal things and this and that. Loaded with history. It seemed pretty positive, which is awesome. I didn't expect that personally. I've not seen Doomed Megalopolis. I've seen covers of it and kind of rumblings here and there, whatever. And just from my surface level observations, it seemed like a title they wouldn't have liked, but no, they liked it. It's great. Dracula, Sovereign of the Damned, they were positive about as well. They say it was a remarkably faithful adaptation of the Marvel Comics series, and that was another title I was interested in because I didn't know there was like a Marvel series, like a full comic run and everything, and it became an anime. It's really interesting. It's a full movie, I believe. It doesn't look like anime either. Probably like a Darkstalker situation sort of thing almost. I mean, I know Darkstalker is a video game, but you know. Dragon Half, fan favorite and deservedly so. It still makes the authors laugh even now. What can we say? Well, they're very glowing, very much like Dragon Half, which is nice to see. Makes me really want to watch Dragon Half more. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard very good things, so I'm not too surprised. That's great though. What's the general ratio of like to dislike with what they talk about? So far, it seems fairly even, almost. I still want to make a grand tally at the end of. I'll have to count how many articles there are. Which is gonna be a lot, and give that proportion of. How many of them don't give an opinion? how many of those, and here's the thing, I've been listing ones that just had any opinion, like little things, and I'm like, that's your opinion. But I'm starting to notice more that there's a difference between an article where they give their opinion and one where they're giving a review. And they're really like, they've seen, and they're giving their take on it. There's a very distinct difference between those two, and I do want to make a distinction with this list, but right now there's no distinction of that. It's just their opinions and stuff, and I'm gonna go back at some point and go and look up and all the thing and figure all that out basically. But right now, this is the list of positives. I've not done a tally either. I'm sorry. I used to have a tally. But because of that split of review and opinion, I've decided to not do the count yet. So these days. So that's all the opinions, and here's all the negatives. It seems pretty even. And then there's also a lot of mixed. And the mixed I'm a little like, yeah, about, because I've started to be like a little more, a little less lenient on them calling things a rip-off or things like that. If they do, I consider it a negative personally. Dragon Half's a fun time. Dragon Half's super fun. Everyone loves Dragon Half. Good. Negative opinions. Couple more negative opinions in this one. Dispatches from the spirit world. They thought it was a Ghostbusters ripoff. Like I said, I just, when they call it something, they say something like that, I'm like, that's just a negative thing. That's very unflattering, I think. DNA Sites 99.999.9. It's a run-of-the-mill teen adventure attempting to draw in Matsumoto fans. It's another rewrite of his standard templates. Interesting. I had never heard of it. Sounds right. Sounds about right for Matsumoto. Dokuben they were negative about. The typical sports anime. Again, that could be more of a mixed opinion, but I think that's also very unflattering to just dismiss it as being typical. Even though it could be like, yeah, sure. Like, it shares a lot of things and it doesn't do anything amazing. But it didn't sound like they really watched all of it, so we don't know. I don't know. It would be, I think it's just disheartening to see that wording personally. Don't give up on the way of the magic sword. Devil Hunter Yoga ripoff. I want to look up, like, I want to Control F ripoff on this encyclopedia. I'm not gonna lie. Graham they were negative about. I do have one of the little odd choices that I mentioned because there's something funky, but there's something really funky they do here, and then they say one of the many clones of Gundam. It's like, but also, what they say afterwards makes it just like even more confusing. Anyway, Dragoon, harmless hokum, bit of sub-jive bullshit. They went kind of hard on this one. Let me read that article. Dragoon. Isn't this OST nice? For Moomin. Hope I don't get copyright obliterated. Obliterate! Exodia! Obliterate! Where the hell is Dragoon? Ugh. There it is. I'm not reading the synopsis. Actually, I do want to read the synopsis because they get kind of snarky. This is a rare time where they get snarky in the synopsis. They usually save their snark for like later or not at all. May has blue hair, red eyes, a corpse-like pallor, and is the key to a powerful military device controlled by her father. She escapes from her captors and bumps into Sedon Calibre, a noble squire who takes up his father's sword and leads her to her destiny. This, it would seem, involves giving her an incongruous stripy hat to wear. I want to look at this up, because actually I kind of like the character design. By their description, it kind of sounds interesting. Where are you? Christmas? Better fucking show up, thank you. Oh, look at the cute fancy hat! Look at this stripy hat! Oh, it does look kind of whatever, but you know. Also, it's not blue hair; it's purple hair. It's definitely purple hair. Anyway, this, it would seem, involves giving her an incongruous stripy hat to wear and some low-rent swashbuckling as they run away from incompetent soldiers. And I say that because it's capital I incompetent, capital S soldiers, as if like heavy dolls or something. From Incompetent Soldiers and The Man Who Almost Killed His Father. Like, capital T, the man, like every single word of that is capitalized. The man who almost killed his father. While an annoying little sister, like capital A, capital L, capital S, and ALS. Are you dealing with AL? I'm sorry, that's mean. That's rude. While an annoying little sister tags along for comic relief. Characters say things like, "He destroyed my village, he murdered my entire family, he's evil incarnate." And there's a bit of sub-Jedi bullshit about wielding a sword with your heart. Harmless hokum, marred only by stingy cost-cutting that renders almost all the battle sequences as freeze frames or close-ups. Presumably the savings were used to throw in a little more fan service nudity, since it seems May has a magical ability that causes her clothes to fall off. Sadly, it only ends with a partial resolution, revealing its origins as a marketing tool designed to drum up interest in the sequel to the original PC game. While the Japanese audience was able to enjoy the spin-off novel, both PC adventures and a radio drama based on the story, US fans are left with a bum deal. Just the anime. Oh, woe is me. US fans are left with a bum deal, though distributor ADV wisely crammed all 3 episodes onto a single tape. The virtual absence of the titular Dragon Machine artifact is also rather disappointing, as if Akira had failed to make an appearance in the film that bears his name. Let's be honest, he almost doesn't. He almost doesn't show up. Not much better than Panzer Dragoon, but 3 times as long. I got real hard in the paint on that one. Almost missed the stream. Good evening. Hello, Victor. I hate when things are compared, but it's needed sometimes to emote some ideas, but generally I want to look at a work with its own, only using others as a reference point or example for small things. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's weird listening to this music since I've heard it probably before before I even learned to talk. Holy shit. I was going to say that design was familiar, but I assume it's based on a visual novel. Based on a game, so probably. Yeah, they went hard in the paint on that one. Garzey's Wing, of course, they were negative about. They don't say anything about Dunbine. They don't say anything about... They talk about Dunbine, but they don't give their opinion. But then, of course, Garzey's Wing is truly awful, cheaply animated, and shoddily written. The dub makes it almost unwatchable. This is the confusing part. Like, really? I would imagine it's even worse without the dub, because it's just boring. The worst thing about Garzey's Wing is that it's really boring. It's even boring with the dub. Like, I remember watching it and was like, yeah, I guess it's like, some of those lines are funny, and they're funny to watch out of context, especially when you're like at an anime convention or something, or on a YouTube video that compiles them all together. But if you watch the OVA, it's dry. It's just really boring. Like, whatever, you know? At least to me. Maybe some people actually kind of like it, or unironic, you know, fine, but okay. Okay, hipster. You gotta admit, you're a bit of a hipster if you like it. Like, I'm not a hipster. Come on, dude. That's okay. I'm actually really happy that they enjoy that thing. I like when people enjoy things. I prefer when people enjoy things. Much prefer. Like, I'm happy people enjoy Code Geass, even though I don't, you know? Because they get joy out of that thing. Da Capo. There's some things that I thought they were kind of mixed about. Yet another cookie-cutter harem. Fairy tale sorry. This was from last stream. Dog of Flanders they were mixed on. Because they say it's a miserable tale of death and despair, remains much loved for its sheer emotional extremes. Popular with the sentimental Japanese. They're like, oh yeah, of course the Japanese would like this. Like, jeez. And like, that's how it came off. I'm sure that's not what they meant, but like, because they obviously have immense respect and like, understand the Japanese a lot, but understand the culture a good deal, put a lot of work into understanding them. I'm not trying to dismiss them like that, but it's just like, let me just read it verbatim. This miserable tale of death and despair remains much loved for its sheer emotional extremes, with a maudlin love of sacrifice and a weepy ending. Spoils, because of course they do. It is perhaps no surprise that it has proved so popular with the sentimental Japanese, though there have been also several live-action US versions, the first as early as 1914 and the most recent as 1999. Okay. But again, I do like that article still. I don't really mind to have that take on it. I actually probably have the same take. I've seen the movie, and yeah, I was like, whatever. How's the stream? It's okay. My stomach hurts, but other than that, we're pretty good. I thought Garzey's Wing Dub was a ton of fun. At least the first episode. The other two less so. Exactly. The other two episodes have like nothing. It's not worth how long they are too. Which Dog of Flanders is that? TV movie? It's the whole thing. They tell the same story, Victor. Like, there's not much different. Like, they are mainly talking about the World Masterpiece Theater show, and then they do make a mention of the manga Sekai Mukashi Banashi episode that Dazaki directed, although they don't mention Dazaki. They say it's remade as a 15-minute episode of the Manga World Fairy Tale series in 1976, which is that episode. And then it says it will come back as a 24-part TV series in 92, and then they mention the 97 movie, and they have the whole thing about it. So it's the whole thing. But it's the same story. The Dragon Slayer, they were mixed about. The standard fantasy template. It's so bad, it's good dialogue. So I'm like, okay, I guess I enjoyed it to some extent. It could be considered more negative, though. Dragon's Heaven, they do give an opinion about it, but it's just sort of like a neutral. They have the weirdest robot designs until Evangelion. Really? Not that it's like inspired by Mobius or something? Nothing? Okay. Whoa, these designs are weird. Not until Evangelion. Like, and it also implicates like Evangelion's designs as being weird. Are they really that weird? I like them a lot. Like, what does this mean? It's just a strange comment, you know? But it's an opinion, so I wrote it down. DT Atron, Logan's Run meets Evangelion in this earnest but hackneyed replay. Okay. And then Duel. Its reverse-engineered origins are clear. Design seems a little too sparse. Sanitized look to match the sanitized plot. I'm gonna read Duel. I'm gonna read Duel to you. I'll probably read Duel right now, actually, because I'm on to odd choices. I may as well do Duel right now, actually. Let me read Duel's article to you guys. Because this really caught me off guard, and not in a good way. I was actually like thinking, oh, this reading is kind of okay. Like, there wasn't anything too weird besides Dragon Ball. Nothing too like egregious or anything. I think Duel was like, what? So okay, I'm gonna read the whole thing because the reading the synopsis is important here. Because as you see, it's like, oh, it's reversed engineered origins are clear, and I intentionally. You could probably guess what they're talking about, maybe. But also, Trixie also mentioned this in one of her videos. Well, you'll see. Love the designs of Dragon's Heaven and Eva. I know. Alright, so here's the synopsis for Duel. When he uncovers a strange artifact at a construction site, a worker accidentally splits the universe into two parallel continua. In one universe, the artifact is used to develop human technology in strange and new directions. In the other, life continues as normal. 22 years later, in the everyday world, Professor Sanada tries to prove the existence of a parallel universe. His daughter, Mitsuki, tells him about the visions of schoolboy Kazuki, who claims to see giant robots fighting in the streets. Accidentally triggering the professor's device, Kazuki finds himself in the parallel world where the evil Rara is trying to conquer the world. Kazuki also learns that the parallel Professor Sanada has gotten the UN's backing to create an Earth Defense Command to stop Rara, and that Mitsuki transported to this world the month before. She has had time to introduce herself to the parallel of her father, who is a bachelor in this world and has been too busy fighting evil to develop a similar parallel world technology to send her home. Sanada accepts the obligation of adopting Mitsuki, while also making her a robot pilot in the EDC. When they find that Kazuki has arrived, they can also fly a robot. They enlist him too. You gotta pay attention to that? That synopsis there? Duel was Pioneer's entry into the race to duplicate Evangelion. stealing plots, moods, characters, shots, and even set designs from the 95 Smash, and adding half a dozen pretty girls straight out of their own Tenchi Muyo franchise. So, like, you know, I'm reading these without any visuals. I'm reading, and I've never heard of Duel before. I've never heard of Duel before. It's not like I have a bias towards this show or anything. I literally read the synopsis for the first time in this book. And I read that to you just now. What the fuck does that remind you of Evangelion? Maybe it's like, oh, you have to watch it, right? Fair. But do you get, like, how kind of absurd this is? And the fact that this is, like, a really common thing. They compare fucking everything to Eva. And here's the thing, right? This reminded me of Trixie's video on how Evangelion changed TV anime forever. Which still remains a decent, interesting video. And I skipped through trying to look to see if she mentioned Duel. And she does. She hadn't seen it, but she says the only thing that she had heard about it in the 17 years that she'd been in the community is that it's a lighthearted Evangelion. So it's probably not just them that thought this. You can probably tell it. I don't know if any of you in chat have seen Duel. To remember anything about Duel, but apparently it's on my plan to watch. Well, they're sort of right about Duel. But the thing is, right? If they are right, how come that synopsis doesn't sound anything like Evangelion? Like parallel worlds, like the character dynamics. Like, what are they talking about? Like, I can't find I don't understand. I'll keep reading it, because it's also like adding half a dozen pretty girls straight out of their own Tenchi Muyo friends. Then it's not Eva. Like, if it was just one other girl, then sure. You know what I mean? I guess I'm not looking for a straight, like, I get it, but like, borrows a lot from Eva visually, but not much narratively. I like Duel, it's great, but no, it's nothing like Eva. I hate this too. As I was listening to that, I thought, oh boy, they copied Evangelion. But that's the thing! You read it, and you're like, okay, sounds like any other, like, I'm literally reading every article in this sense. Like, obviously you guys know that, and I'm just reading these, I'm just like, oh, okay. And this completely blindsides me. I'm like, what do you mean that's also like Eva? Why is this like Eva now? What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, let me read more. The show adds some clever identity crises. Kazuki is the only person who does not exist in the parallel world that includes evil versions of love interests. Mitsuki and her mother. With a passionless, suicidal girl, the cyborg D, last remnant of a lost civilization. So I guess is that supposed to be Rei? Okay. But it's also like apparently a half other dozen girls, I guess. Young pilots forced to share a house. Do you mean just that like Shinji and Oscar are in the same house? But it's not like all of them are. Again, they don't give me enough information about Duel. They're making it sound like they're making arbitrary connections. Like, oh look, it's like Ava. Fucking, what do they do with it then? Do they use it to the same effect as Ava, or maybe it's a little different? And Ava-like robots. Oh, they're like robot. Oh, I see. How are they like Ava-like robots? I don't know. It's just like, this is just like really annoying. I feel like they just need to justify it more in order to make this. But like, they don't have to. That's the fucking thing. They don't have to. They don't have to, because every other fucking fan does this shit. They really just are like very emblematic of a lot of anime fans. If anything, maybe it's like them comparing to Evangelion to everything is very similar to why we have that. Why the fandom has that as well. Bro, there are robots. Dragon Tempen's so sick. Yeah, I wish they talked more about it. They really just give the description and they're like, oh, the robots are weird. Okay. Like, the story is nothing like Eva, but the way mecha fights are presented is pretty similar, especially with the first few episodes. And the MC design kind of reminds me of El Hazard, which is also a parallel world show, unlike Eva. But the slick mark... Okay. Its reverse-engineered origins are clear. but their slick marketing savvy of producers Toru Miura and Kazuaki Morigiri ensure that nothing gets taken too far. People don't get killed, at least not permanently. Jokiness often takes precedence over drama, and a happy ending restores everything to almost normal, with Kazuki surrounded by adoring girls. Then it's nothing like Eva! What the fuck? It's like, oh, did you like Eva? Watch Duel! You wouldn't do that to somebody. They're like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like, I would recommend Argento Soma if you've seen Evangelion, because I think he does have a kind of a similar thing going on. I can definitely see Argento Soma in, like, having its roots in Evangelion, I think. I have not seen Razafon, but I've seen a bit of it. I've seen like 5 episodes of it, maybe. Yeah, I'd probably suggest Razafon to people who like Eva, if they want more Eva. You know, not that people who like Eva would want more Eva, because they're like, oh, it's not as good as Eva. That's the thing. Like, why compare it like that? I don't know. Like, what is the purpose of it? You know what I mean? Careful integration of computer graphics make for some good robot battles, but much of the design in Duel seems a little too sparse. This really pisses me off too. Seems a little too sparse. The scenes often seem too uncluttered, giving the show a sanitized look to match its sanitized plot. So it's also not like Ava. Because Ava is insanely dense. Not like in content, like theme or oh, it's so deep or whatever. I just mean in like the consoles, you know? Like the thing that they're talking about here, how everything looks a little too sparse. It often seem too uncluttered. I feel like that's just not the same with Evangelion, which has a lot more detail going on, visually. No? Thankfully, oh my god. You guys are not gonna like this. Thankfully, it also lacks Evangelion's messy ending. Though after a denouement seemingly shot on the same road bridge that closes Serial Experiments Lane, the final episode on video threatens an as-yet unmade sequel. Ugh. I didn't like that. I'm not a fan of that article. I do not like its chant, Sam I am. Now I'm curious what they think about Ava. Me too! Ooh, there's one more mention of Evangelion in this reading. That's like, oh, that's not a good sign. Oh, that's not a good sign. Yeah, the more I'm looking at it, it looks like the successor of like El Hazard, which predates Ava. A lot of shared staff. Yeah, El Hazard's the same team. I recommend Ideon to a friend who loved Ava, and Ideon also became one of his favorites. Yes. Ideon is also very Ava, but also it came before Evangelion, right? I wonder if they're going to mention that. Or mention Ava. They probably do mention Ava. Maybe not. I don't know. We're about an hour into the stream, and we're already on odd choices. We're cranking it. I'm happy. It was a very uneventful reading, all things considered, but there was really just Duel and Dragon Ball that were just like, what? You know? Without that Ava ending. Ugh. I know. I know. It's like, oh no. Yeah, so they spoiled DNA Sites 999.9, a third party they'll have to find for themselves. It turns out to be this. Thanks. Dog of Flanders, duh. The ending is kind of like the thing it's known for. I won't say what it is. Dominion, at the finale, Okay. Doomed Megalopolis, then there's a whole paragraph, and they cut it for 3rd edition, so that's great. So technically they don't, as long as you read the 3rd edition. Dracula Sovereign of the Damned, they describe the entire plot. This fucking article, dude, like, where is it? It's so long. For no reason. Dracula's Sovereign, like, it's so, maybe it's not long, it's not like super long, I guess. Where is it? Where's Dragon Ball? Oh. See that? Oh, with the reverse thing. Dracula. All of that. And pretty much the majority of it is just recounting the entire plot, beat for beat, to the end. Don't know why. I do think you could probably. There is starting to be, which is kind of fun and kind of good for me as someone who would make this video. You can really categorize every article pretty much into different buckets. One of those buckets is we don't really know what to do with this, so recount the entire plot just to lengthen it. So they do that for Dracula, Savage and the Damned, and they also do it for Dragon Slayer. And then, like I said earlier, they've done it for other movies like Alice, 1001 Arabian Nights, Alice, where is it? They first did it for Angel Beats, but not so much anymore. Arabian Nights, 1001 Nights, the entire plot, which is surprising given how much happens in that movie. A little too much plot, things like that. Then there's other ones down here. Recurring traits, right? Remember, they very often bloat the most high-profile titles with describing all of the spin-offs while withholding most of their opinion. They don't give any opinion for Dirty Pair, Devilman, City Hunter, Digimon, Detective Conan, Touch, Dr. Slump, Doraemon, Dragon Ball. There was another one that happened this reading, I think. Dr. Slump. They didn't give any opinions on them. Well, I guess not that I want them. I guess, technically. But, like, it makes it be like, whoa, it's a big article, but it's just listing off all the spin-offs and specials they do. It's like, alright. Okay, so we looked into the robots at Duel. They don't really look like the Avamax. Of course not. How? Why would I be surprised? Spoilers to Dominion. We're doing my Dragon League. Detailed finale, and then also the mid-show development, and Dragon Slayer describes the entire plot. Before we get to odd choices, I do want to give some good ones. I did not know this. Or maybe this, I don't know if this is correct or not, but it sounds right to me, honestly. Dr. Slump. I'm sorry if I haven't been on notes this whole time. I'm sorry. There's the spoilers right there. Describes the entire plot. Very often bloat there with high profile, with Dirty Player, Devilman, City Hunter, Digimon, all these other titles. Also started to got a couple more words that I learned from this encyclopedia. Fin de Sikel, I don't know how to pronounce that, and Salutary. Good ones, yeah. Dr. Slump, 97, the sequel one. That's the one that's fully subbed on Tubi. That's not well subbed on Tubi. It became the first anime to use computer coloring, like Digipaint, instead of cells. I did not know this. I was always wondering, like, what was the first one to do that? Like, where's that shift starting to happen? And it seems to be the answer, which is great. I'm really happy to have an answer to that, honestly, because that just makes 97 actually really interesting to watch. Like, I don't think I would have watched it. I probably would have watched the original Dr. Slump, and that's it. But because this new one just kind of doesn't look as good and looks kind of redundant. The fact that it's the first Digipaint does make it really interesting and worth kind of maybe seeking out potentially. Dog of Flanders is the first World Masterpiece Theater show. It's because we all think it's Heidi, but it seems to be more like a Nausicaa-like alpha type show, where they made it and they were like, oh, this could really be good. We could do more of this. And Dog of Flanders was the first time it really held that moniker, which makes sense. Totally makes sense. It's like Heidi is still counted in World Masterpiece Theater, and it's mentioned in their article of World Masterpiece Theater in the encyclopedia, and like it's in all of promos and things like that. It does count. It is the first one, but it's not the first official one in the same way. So that was interesting. They do mention the Manga Sakai episode, as I said earlier. Yeah, that was good. Okay, so yeah. It was fashionable to say mecha anime at that time was all Eva copies. Tomino's Brainpower was accused of this as well, but he says he thought of it before Eva. Like, he said he thought of it before Eva, and then he also said that he wanted to beat Evangelion with Brainpower, right? So, like, there is some intent there. And I still think Trixie's video is really great, giving the transition, like really describing the transition in TV anime specifically at the time, where a lot of it was very safe manga adaptations, very long-running, safe anime adaptations, and nothing weird or crazy, experimental, wacky, or even otaku-centric, like what we have a lot of saturation of these days. A lot of that stuff was just relegated to OVAs, and you literally see, like from 90 to 94, you look at what was coming out, and the minute Evangelion drops, there's a shift. Like immediately you get Escaflowne, you get Revius, you get Big O, you get like a lot of crazy stuff. It just gets a lot more interesting in that way, and including Ava clones, but titles I'm now interested in. This is the fun part of the stream where I get to, you just see my avatar for a little while, and I'm gonna start looking up some titles. First one I wanted to look up is the Dollymog. Can't wait to have this struggle with, it happened immediately. Oh. No. No, that's just the name of it. Dollymog, duh. Come on, man. Dollymog, duh. Oh, come on. Mock and Sweet, perhaps? Okay, I'm just looking at the... I'm sorry, so also I'm not looking at... That's not it. It's from 1986. Oh! Yeah! Oh my god, I sure know how to pick them. But it's actually rated, which is surprising. 49 episodes, wow. It just seems like fun. Let me read the synopsis here. In their the Anime Encyclopedia. In 8th century Europe, the Frankish king Charlemagne sends out his paladins to invade the neighboring countries. In the midst of this chaos, Dollymog and the Mole and his sister Hanamog come to the aid of humans in trouble. They understand human speech and are walking the Dollymog Road on a quest to bring down Charlemagne and his evil sorcerer Babar. Based on a story written by writer Kawauchi, in which underground dwellers try to preserve peace in their own world by interfering in ours, this original piece of medieval moling only stayed with the Charlemagne plot for 23 episodes. The rest of the series leaps 300 years ahead of time to the Crusades. So I'm like, oh, that's just kind of weird and interesting, you know? Dollymogda! Yeah. I just thought that was interesting and cool. Of course I know how to fucking pick them with all the obscure kids shit. Don Dracula. It just shows up with manga, but there's also this anime here. There's only 8 episodes, that's right, because the rest of it was like, it just like got canned like real bad, real early. And like 4 of these episodes are like OVAs technically. But yeah, it's like a Tezuka anime, but it's literally Dracula and his daughter moving to Japan. His daughter Chocula, faithful servant Igor, taking up residence in an old Western style house. Yeah, it just seemed like a lot of fun and cute and whatever. Seemed like a good time. Brain Powered is it's done plenty of stuff pre-Ava, but people don't remember it. I mean, there probably were some little things here and there, but they were not popular. You know what I mean? I do get the overall trend towards things that were like Gundam, and then that's something that Trixie mentions. That Gundam technically changed that mode, or even earlier than Evangelion. But there is that dry spell for a good deal of it. Brain Powered is a continuation of the exploration of family dynamics, which are at the core of almost every Tomino anime since Zambot. Oh yeah, that's not to like calling it the relative to Ava is not to disparage it necessarily. Although I do think in this case, calling it a clone does disparage it. You know, Razban was made as a direct response to Ava. The creator had a nice interview with Ano about it. You can find it on Gwern. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Don't Leave Me Alone, Daisy. I thought this was kind of fun. Mitsugai Day Daisy. Oh, that looks like fun. Only visual for it, of course. It's like unbelievably. Wow, really well rated despite being a 5.6 on now. Basically this nerdy kid on the rocket is like this like rich shut-in guy, and these other schoolgirls kind of get like trapped in with him or something. I don't know. The description sounded really cool. Let me find it. Don't leave me. Oh, yeah, don't leave me alone, Daisy. Let me read their article on it. Reijiro Techno is a super rich recluse who lives in a nuclear bunker. The chat over here. He uses his IQ and bank balance to build walls of technology around himself and his fantasy world, where net surfing is as physical an experience as the real thing. One day, in a scene reminiscent of Kimaguri, Hitomi's hat is blown away by the wind and lands in Techno's garden. He is immediately smitten with her and insists on calling her Daisy, claiming her as his property, much to her distress. This new twist on Geek Meets Girl, intercut with survivalism by Microsoft, as a deus ex machina in the bearded form of Grandpa, fulfilling a promise to Techno's dead parents, and a fly in the ointment in the butch senior classmate Ani, who appoints herself to ride shotgun on Techno's schemes. A salutary message about how life won't always comply just because you point money or a computer at it is buried beneath a light-hearted school romance in the spirit of Jubei-chan the Ninja Girl. Strangely endearing, despite being a comedy about a stalker, Noriko Nagano's original 88 manga somehow caught the virtual spirit of the times, though it was by no means her most popular. Unadapted Geek Meets Girl tales from the same creator include Otaku Master and God Save the Sugekoma-kun. Sugekoma-kun. BP was also the first series that Tomino made while recovering from his depression, and that's why the family is at the forefront, since he thought that was the simplest type of story to tell. I believe I've seen this anime in certain person's list of worst anime ever made. Which one? Don't Leave Me Alone, Daisy? Damn. Of course it's a Tomino anime, so how simple it actually ended up being is a bit subjective. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's only 12 episodes, too, which is kind of rare for, like, 97, I imagine, right? I don't know. Seems like a fun time. Yeah. Is that a 3 at the end? Yeah, a 3 out of 10 down there. Yeesh. Dorotaro. Yeah, I'm gonna find this one. Oh, I got it. Aw. Of course I know how to pick them. Who said no Dorotaro? 289 people! After many years of, let me see what the description of this was. Oh, it's because it's like part of a... So it doesn't say it here on Mal. It doesn't say it here on Mal, but like apparently this is kind of part of a bigger series or something. There it is. After many years of wandering, Taro returns to Cat Island to meet his sister Sakura, who has stayed on the island with their adoptive parents, and to woo the beautiful ship captain Haruko. Though his family is pleased to see him, they all come to realize that the long separation has seen them grow into different people, and the return of the prodigal son has only emphasized how far apart they have all become. An anime pastiche of the long-running live-action Tora-san series. Okay, so it's a live-action series. That's interesting. Yeah, 13 episodes from 1981. I don't know, seemed really interesting to me. Kind of like a little slice of life type of thing, and I don't know, looked pretty good. Well, of course, it's for kids, of course. I know how to pick them. As you know, kids anime goated. Daisy one, I can imagine people getting really uncomfortable with the premise. Probably. I don't know, it looked neat. Character. It's one of those, like, Mushoku Tensei situations where the main character is clearly kind of a weirdo and kind of in the wrong. It's kind of seeing him overcome those things. Downtown. This is a biopic apparently, and that's what really made me like, what? Of course that's not going to show up. Of course. I'm pretty sure that's the name of it, and there's no Japanese equivalent, which is just great. Downtown. Ugh. Alright, we'll look up the director. People. Kenji. Shimazu. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. No. No. Alright. Toyo Ashida. Alright. Oh, no. Oh, it's not showing up. Oh, no. Is there no fucking Mal article for this? Oh, no. Wait, I saw it. Feature Films Anime Episode Guide from BCBB. Anime biopic from 97. Oh, is this one of those fucking lost media things? I sure know how to pick them. I sure know how to fucking pick them. God damn it. Yeah, it's a big cartoon database. Oh. Yeah, it's the one that I was thinking about. I mean, the futility of searching it on YouTube. Anime. Well, I shouldn't be surprised. Son of a bitch. What am I? Yeah, so this is the comedy. It's about a comedy duo. I guess they had an anime at some point. Let me just read the synopsis to you. This sounds so cool, dude. Two class clowns take their humor out into the streets, terrorizing members of the public. Falling behind at school, they join the Yoshimoto Talent Agency and become the Fists of Yoshimoto, better known as the comedy duo Downtown. They make their first TV appearance in 1987 in their own series, No Job for Kids. In 1996, they become Japan's richest comedians and are honored the following year by this anime biopic. It's really interesting. Fucking anime for that, you know? Damn it. Damn it, Lost Media. Fuck. Yeah. Dracula, Sovereign of the Damned. That was that Marvel Comics thing. Of the Yami no Teo. Yeah, this is like, yeah. I remember it's like there's sort of a Frankenstein looking one too. Oh, oh man, it's not well rated. Oof! Dude, oof! I really know how to pick them. Whew. Wow. It does sound fucking wild. Like, he becomes a human at one point, and he's like, please turn me back into a vampire, and they're like, no, and it sounds bizarre. Like, they go to fucking hell at one point. Oh my gosh. But it's apparently a remarkably faithful adaptation. Man, that's crazy. Dragon League. This is like it's like soccer, but it's fantasy. It's like really crazy ass fantasy. Yeah, that sounds about right. His dad, that's his dad, in order to turn his dad back into a human, is to play soccer. Pretty fun. 39 episodes. 6, 7, middling. Okay. Pretty fun. I want to see the OP for that, actually. Because I was just picturing it in my head. I'm like, wow. I am putting it on mute. Because I do not want a copyright strike. Damn it, I really want to hear it, though. That looks pretty well animated, actually, despite the potato quality. It kind of, you know what? It almost looks like telecom, like Future Koi Conan looking designs, like really well animated, like really good looking. Maybe that's not his dad. I don't know. Maybe it's just a sidekick. He said the description said he turns into a tiny dragon. I gotta say this OP's a little not great. It's okay. Also, it is in 140. What fucking quality is this? 240? Sheesh! I doubt I can find subs for this. Oh, I love that Dracula movie. It's so hilarious. I watch it every year. I remember seeing this on some So Bad It's Good lists. Yeah, Dracula fights Jesus, God, Satan, and other vampires. A girl possessed by God or something. It's amazing. It's so cool. It doesn't afraid of anything. The Frankenstein one is actually just a really faithful and dramatic telling of the story. Do recommend. Oh, that's sick. Oh, I didn't know that about the Frankenstein one. I had heard of the Frankenstein one, but I didn't know it was like faithful. That sounds awesome. There are dragons, dinosaurs, and dragons? I guess. I think they're all dragons, but like, you know. But it's like, oh boy, okay. It's certainly interesting. Dragon Pink. I won't look up the OP for this one. But like I also don't want to like, hold on. Whoop. Yes, good thing I'm not looking at the alternate covers for this on stream. It is softcore, but it just looks like a lot of fun. It just looks really colorful and silly and I don't know. It just looks like a good time. Again, it's not something I really want to go out of my way to watch a lot of these sorts of things, but you know, just seems like I just like the style, like because it reminds me of like Slayers or something. Not that I've seen Slayers. All right, time to finally look up what Duel looks like. Okay. I kind of get it. It's just still not fair though. It's not cool. Let's see if the Mal reviews. NGE! It doesn't have NGE, does it? Neon Genesis Evangelion. I watched unironically oblivious to the Evangelion parody. I will call it a happy Neon Genesis Evangelion. Come on, man. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Not a fan of it. Not a fan of the comparison. I am interested in the show, though. And then the two anime that I knew about already, but their articles really convinced me, honestly. One is Dominion Tank Police. I mean, you know, just fucking look at that. I love Noah Izumi and Nausicaa. Are you kidding? Of course I'm gonna fucking watch this. Of course there's that stuff, though. That stuff, too. I recommend it if you can get around the H scenes. It's fun. Read the Mal reviews. They all mention Ava. I know. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to watch Dominion. I also wanted to watch Doomed Megalopolis. Heitei Monogatari. Like, this just looks sick, dude. Not well rated, but... but, like... Pretty badass, honestly. Very historical too, like historical references and things. Very middling melodies too. Sheesh. Oh well. Yeah. So those were the titles that I was like, interesting. Suspicious. Oh, I love this track. It's so fucking fantasy. It's sick, dude. This is like a slice of life. It's so cool. I love this. I love this OST. Damn, feels like I've loaded on a quest. But Ava had a happy ending. I know. Dominion is never a bad choice. OVA is better than TV series. What they write about Dominion? Taito Monogatari was legendary. Let me read what they read about Dominion. Dominion. Newport's. Yeah, I don't want to really read the synopsis. Dominion was the first professional manga by Appleseed creator Masamune Shirow, which I did put in the odd choices there. It's like Appleseed creator. You mean Ghost in the Shell creator Masamune Shirow, the thing he's most known for? Anyway, it's because they like Appleseed a lot more apparently. And displays a sense of humor that tails off in his later works. Like Patlabor, it has a lowly lady cop. Lowly lady cop. That's how I describe Noah using me, a lowly lady cop. Okay. I guess so. I also call her best girl. Get it right. Liana Ozaki, who works for a paramilitary police force, bestows a pet name on her machine and spars flirtily with her partner, though the show concentrates more on comedy than slice-of-life drama. Thus we have Liana's immediate boss, the dirty, hairy wannabe, Brenton, constantly arguing with his hypertense chief, as well as the standard semi-love interest Al and computer nerd Megane Lovelock. After a prequel beginning with Liana joining the tank police and the creators of her beloved tank Bonaparte out of spare parts, the anime series draws on early chapters of the manga, pitting the police against Buaku, a rogue android who is accompanied by the infamous scantily clad Puma twins, Anapuma and Unipuma. Taking the piss as the order of the day, the Buaku gang wants to steal urine samples from uncontaminated citizens and attempts to deter pursuit by throwing inflatable dildos all over the street. As in the manga, there are hints that Buaku's motives are secretly honorable. In a Blade Runner pastiche, he is searching for information about his creator, and his urine thefts may be part of a plan to deal with the pollution. Less ecologically damaging than in the manga, but still there. Buaku and Liana are forced to team up against the Red Commando terrorists in the next 2 episodes as they try to recover a valuable painting. And at the finale, in 1992, Shiro revisited the franchise in Comic Gaia with a parallel story, dropping Buaku and Al, promoting Liana to squad leader, and giving her command of an entire fleet of Bonaparte model tanks. Adapted into anime as New Dominion Tank Police, the new slightly darker series brought Al back, restored the Puma twins to a life of crime they had reformed in the manga, and told a far darker story as the squad battles the evil corporation Dai Nippon Gaiken, which is developing a virtual drug as a spin-off from its weapons research. These new episodes were renumbered for the UK release and are hence sometimes known as episodes 7 through 12 of the Old Dominion, rather than 1 through 6 of New Dominion. Yeah, everyone in Finland knows these soundtracks by heart. Yeah! Let's go! I know Moomin because my family is Swedish, and my uncle had the books. And he gave me Finn Family Moon Patrol as a kid. And I loved that book. It's probably still my favorite book. And then I got the rest of the series. And then I found out about the anime and things like that. Yeah, so that's the thing on Dominion. Let me read some odd choices for an hour and a half into the stream. Dude, DNA Squared. So they have a little weird thing about DNA Squared. Despite the popularity of similar Boy Meets Dozen Girls shows like Tenchi Muyo, are they just trying to spice up? I thought this was weird because it's like, are they just trying to spice up the language they're using and just not calling it a harem show? Or are they saying that Tenchi Muyo isn't a harem show? And it's actually more like a slightly different... Well, he's technically not dating all of them. It's just there's a lot of girls in this show. That's all it is. That's what they're saying about DNA squared. I guess. Hazel, if you still want me to read it, I'll try to read it after I finish these odd choices. And if anybody else has any articles they would like to know what they say about this thing, I can read that as well. Dr. Slump, they have this. Here's the other Ava thing that I was like, why? Okay, Dr. Slump. It scores a massive TV rating of 36.9 at its peak. The mega hit Evangelion managed to a paltry 7.1. Why mention that? Why are you digging on Ava like that? Oh, the mega hit. I think it's just trying to put it into perspective, which is fine. But like, you didn't do that for Touch. Why do you have to put it in perspective like that? Like, you can just say it's a really, you could like, it's like the fourth highest TV rating for an anime or something like that. Like, you can do that. You don't have to put Ava down like that. But also, 7.1 is probably still pretty good compared to what a lot of anime get. You know what I mean? Like, 7.1 is kind of a lot, all things considered. It's not 17 or 36, obviously, compared to 36 paltry. But, like, that's something to scoff at. And isn't Evangelion a late-night series? When did Dr. Slump air? Wouldn't you think there's a little difference in the, a little unfairness in that comparison? I don't know. I just don't know why they have to dig Evangelion like this. Doesn't bode well for when I get to their article, which will be next in like 2 streams probably. No, 4 streams. This next stream is 3rd edition of D, and then we're on E. So it'll be, I imagine it's gonna land in the second half of E. So it'll be first half E, 3rd edition, second half E. So in like 3 or 4 streams, we'll get to Evangelion. We'll leave the suspense for then, I think, because it's so close. But if there's other ones that are like months apart, months down the line, I'm willing to read those if you guys want to hear them. No. Dominion, Appleseed created Masamune Shin. I'm like, okay. Doraemon, this was funny. Like Lupin the Third, it's a retro anime that never had to be revived. I'm not so much like concerned about Doraemon never having to be revived, because they're right. The TV show literally went from 1979 to 2005, and then from 2005 to now, and has not stopped. But Lupin is never had to be revived? Are you sure about that? Like, from 71 to 77 is kind of a large chunk of time. And they brought back part 2. And then it didn't go on TV again until 1985. Like, there's that chunk between it ending in 80 and then Cagliostro 80. And then, I think Fuma might be 84, like maybe. But like, the TV specials don't start until 89. And then it's 89 onwards when they can be like, yeah, technically it never has to be revived. Although for TV, it didn't show up again until 2014, from 85 to 14. Or 85 to 10 because of Fujiko Mine. You know what I mean? I just don't know if that was quite the right thing to say. That, like, it's a retro anime that never had to be revived. I don't know about that, personally. Maybe I'm just splitting hairs. I want to watch Tenchi after watching Hazel's video on it. Same. Very much same. I'm really interested in Tenchi Muyo after her video. Yeah, sure. Let's compare a Saturday morning cartoon with a late night otaku targeted anime. I know! If you're doing free read today, can you read Hoshizuku Paradise? Yeah, I can get to that as well. Dororo. They intended to make it in color, but was prevented from doing so by the low budgets approved by Fuji TV. And that's probably sourced correctly. I imagine maybe that was the reason, or a reason. Like, it could have been both of them. I was pretty sure that the reason, at least according to Gisabu Usugi in the documentary that I watched and I referenced in one of my videos, the reason Dororo's in black and white is because the TV station didn't want them to have red blood. Like, it was too bloody, and it was too much red blood. So they're like, okay, so red blood doesn't work. So why not? It's a historical drama, so why not make it black and white? And that's what Suki did. and that's why they went with black and white. But apparently, according to this, they wanted to make it in color, but they literally didn't have the money to do it. Okay. I don't know what I believe more, personally. It could be both, though. It definitely could be a matter of both. But, like, if you don't have a means to do it in color, why would you still make it at all at that point? Because color's been around for years at that point, right? I don't know. That seems like a weird reason to me. I don't know if that's speculation or something they have sourced in the magazine. They have plenty of sources in the magazine. They're not talking out their ass here. So maybe that was the projected reason, at least as of 2001, and they never changed it. But to my knowledge, at least according to Kasabu Usugi, the reason it was black and white is because it's the TVs, they didn't want the red blood. Kasabu Usugi is the director, by the way. So that was weird. That's something I wanted to point out. Dougram, I mentioned this earlier. One of the many clones of Gundam, this is the verbatim, one of the many clones of Gundam, but one that was a robot debut for Votom's creator and father of real robot shows, Takahashi. Am I... What do you... So on one hand, Dougram is a Gundam clone. On the other hand, it was made by the father of real robots. So are you saying father of real robots as in, like, when he made Votoms, he made real robots? But Dougram's just a Gundam clone? Why isn't Dougram given more emphasis on being the origin of real robots? If this was, as you say, the robot debut of Takahashi, and it's like Gundam, and in terms of, like, the qualities we know of as real robots. If anything, I haven't seen Dougram, but I'm pretty sure I've heard that it's more realistic than Gundam, because Gundam has new types, and Dougram doesn't have anything like that. But Votoms came out, like, years after Dougram. Like, what are you trying to say here? Like, it feels like you're contradicting yourself. One of the many Gundam clones, but one that was a robot debut for Gundam, or maybe you're contrasting that with the butt, but, like, however, but then why say that? What do you mean? Is this confusing to anyone else? I don't know. I bet they think Gainax ran out of money and that's why Gunbuster has no color in episode 6. I kind of want to check that now. Right now. I'm sorry I don't, like, poking around, but I think maybe they said it costs more money. Oh my god, that would be so embarrassing. G-U-R-T-U-R-S-T-U-B. Gunbuster! Oh, I thought that was the article. I saw all this text and I was like, ugh! But it was Gundam. And then scan a little bit. Say it. I don't think they mention it that. No. I mean, I didn't read the whole thing very in depth, but it doesn't seem like they thought that, which is good. Good move. But that's still, like, the Takahashi thing is bizarre to me. Father of real robot shows talk. Oh boy, is there a Takahashi fanboy? I mean, they are giving him that credit, I guess. I'm interested if they really are a Takahashi fanboy. I'm not sure. Jury's out on that one for me personally. They probably think Votoms is the true real robot show or something. Maybe. Although Votoms also has psychics and not psychics, but like superpowered humans. It's like if Votoms counts more than Gundam, I don't see why. I really don't see why. I bet they're going to complain about Ava's low budget last 2 episodes. Probably. Oh shit, wait. Are they gonna complain about Karikano cutouts too? They might have. I remember reading the Karikano article. I don't, but they do have the misinformation about Karikano that that Anno left the production. He was there for the whole thing, but they say that in that Tsurumaki takes over, but that wasn't true apparently. Yeah, Dugram's even more focused on politics and guerrilla warfare. The main similarity with Gundam is that Dugram robot is still super prototype, and there is only one of it, while Votoms are mass-produced and disposable. Yeah, it's a good point of contrast, really, or comparison, of course. But in terms of like Votoms versus Gundam type of thing. Anyway, I just thought that was really weird. Dragon Ball. Let's try not to spend too much time on Dragon Ball. Famous last words. So they slowly gather the 7 Dragon Balls. Slowly? Not really. I thought it was in. I haven't seen all of Dragon Ball yet. I am on episode. Let's see what episode. I don't even have it like on. It's gonna be a while before I watch the rest of it. But I'm on episode 83 of Dragon Ball. I'm pretty sure that they collected the Dragon Balls pretty quickly, like the first 13 episodes. They made it sound like they are gathering the 7 of them throughout the whole 153 episode run, which is not true. That was within 13 episodes. They spell it Krillin with a Y. Nice. I try not to rag on them too much about spelling. Red Ribbon Army wished to change the space-time continuum by destroying Goku. Maybe I'm misremembering or something. I do not remember that. I'm pretty sure the thing with the Red Ribbon is that they're just trying to conquer the world, really. I don't even know if they're trying to find the Dragon Balls or anything. Space-time continuum by destroying, like, Goku just kind of gets in their way. Like, he just kind of runs into them a lot, and then he's like, you know what, fuck this Red Ribbon, I'm gonna go fucking trash their shit. And they're not, like, out to get Goku or something. Or maybe that's, like, later or something. But space-time continuum, maybe they're talking about the time travel in Z, like, way down the line or something? It was, like, the first 20 chapters in the manga. Yeah. I don't know what they're talking about by space-time continuum. High Demon Piccolo. Here's the thing. Here's the. Okay. Let me read the. They must also fight off other groups, including the Red Ribbon Organization, which wishes to change the space-time continuum by destroying Goku. Eventually, the High Demon Piccolo uses the Dragon Balls to rejuvenate himself, then kill Shenlong, while Goku and his gang travel to another world to use their Dragon Balls instead, and prevent the alien overlord Frieza from getting them himself. So you read that, and you're like, whoa, they skipped a lot there. They went from High Demon Piccolo to the Frieza saga? That's a pretty big jump. But, that's not something... I read that, and I was like, wow, they kind of, like, try to summarize this stuff very off. Sure, they wanted to mention the thing that's kind of where, like, Frieza is really where Z got super popular, right? Where it's pretty peak of popularity type of thing. I can understand that for a long-running shonen, sure. They find the Dragon Balls really fast. First 12 are just first story arc. The Red Ribbon Army wants the Dragon Balls so their leader can wish to be taller. What? The real goal of the Red Ribbon Army is one of the funniest twists in Dragon Ball. Yeah. But you're thinking, okay, they just kind of skipped Raditz, right? They didn't skip Raditz. So that's right there. What I just read to you is that chunk here, and then it keeps going. And around here is when they start describing Dragon Ball Z. So they think the Frieza saga happened in the original Dragon Ball. From getting them himself. The DB sequel, this is like after they described like Toriyama and where it came from and short movie compilations and things like that. The DB sequel, Dragon Ball Z, jumps 3 years into the future when an older Goku is now married with a son, Gohan. Because this is where many foreign language versions begin, early episodes often seem like a massive class reunion in which the viewer knows nobody. Goku is attacked by the alien Raditz, who reveals that Goku is his brother, a Saiyajin alien, Sayagjin, Saiyan, but it looks like it's pronounced Saiyajin. Saiyajin alien, sent to destroy the planet many years ago. Goku refuses to blow up his adopted home and opposes the invading Saiyajin, dying and then being reborn as a blonde-haired Super Saiyajin. So they didn't skip Raditz. They just think that he dies and then comes back as a Super Saiyan. No, they just got it wrong. That right there is kind of the blatant, no, that's wrong. Dying and then being reborn as a blonde-haired Super Saiyan. What? What happened? What happened? And here's the thing. This is one of the most high-profile anime in this entire encyclopedia. If you had to pick an anime that was the most high-profile, it's Dragon Ball, right? It would be Dragon Ball. You would want to get that right? They don't get it right. Multiple times. Balls scatter themselves throughout the universe, and then taking a year to the year to recharge is correct, but then they say the balls scatter themselves throughout the universe. And like, I hate to be like a, oh gotcha, or like a CinemaSins ding kind of moment. Universe, it's not universe. It's the world. It's the Earth. Anyway, it was less successful in the U.S., where only 26 episodes were shown before Funimation just ditched the rest and relaunched with Dragon Ball Z. See below. Though in 2001 they announced that they would go back and fill in the gap. I imagine they did. Since 2001. Like, why would they keep this in the 3rd edition? This is still in the 3rd edition. They've since dubbed it. Why would you see below? Though they, in terms of like Z or whatever. Though in 2001 they announced that they would go back and fill. Why include that? That's just so strange to me. Keep that in the 3rd edition. I get it in the 1st edition because this came out in 2001, but like, it was less successful, and like they kind of don't. In the 1st edition, they really don't emphasize how popular Dragon Ball is everywhere, which is why they include that new blurb in the 3rd edition. So this is an edited article. It's not one of the ones they kept completely untouched, but they didn't change any of this plot stuff that makes it sound wrong, that they don't know what they're talking about. But all they say is, violence and some nudity were cut from the US release, but even in this boulderized form, the series remained popular. They didn't really cut that much violence down, that's the thing. They cut some of it down. At least I'm at. Maybe they cut more than usual, but like, violence was part of its appeal. Like, literally. Like, they didn't cut out all the violence of Dragon Ball. You know? Otherwise, it wouldn't have actually been successful. It would have been as successful as the original Dragon Ball. Yeah. Duh. But then, yeah, it's like, DBZ came off the air in 1996. I didn't write this part down. That was the most, like, the Saiyajin part, and then I move on to other odd choices. But this is like, so this is where they're coming from here. Dragon Ball Z came off the air in 1996, a few months after Toriyama pleaded exhaustion and stopped drawing the manga. Rebranded as Dragon Ball Grand Tour the following month, it featured the return of blah 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 blah. The new series seemed to have lost the magic and ended in November 97. Tellingly, this was also the same time Toriyama's Dr. Slump was brought back on air, perhaps showing that the artist wasn't quite so tired of his original creation after all. Because they framed it initially with like, tiring of his Dr. Slump and seeking a clean break from Western inspirations, creator Akira Toriyama plucked elements from Journey to the West for this follow-up. And then he's like, oh, I guess he was a little tired of that, huh? Look, a little slight dig on Dragon Ball without actually saying anything. the story also exists in a tacky live-action 1996 Cantonese adaptation, DB the Movie, directed by Joe Chan. And that's where the first edition ends. They have very little consideration of how important Dragon Ball is to the community as a whole, which they rectify. I'm sorry I've not been reading the chat too much. I'm trying to finish, not spend forever on Dragon Ball. They added this paragraph at the end. I have to make sure I highlight it. I forgot to do it last time. Dragon Ball remains a perennial anime franchise with a long afterlife in other countries, and an artistic heritage that has also been maintained by an online game in East Asia. The series was resurrected in DBZ Kai, blah, 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 and then, the more recent stuff. So they kind of acknowledge that, like, oh, it's not actually over. Okay. It's more popular than we... Okay. But they didn't change any of the weird inaccuracies. Anyway, I'm trying to read the rest of the chat. Let's put the full screen on here. It was like... So they think Namek is part of the original Dragon Ball, but the Saiyan Saga is part of Z? They definitely didn't watch it. Well, they gave King Kai a massive buff. Can't wait for an Ava plot summary. Dragon Ball or Pokemon would be the biggest for sure. What the Anime Encyclopedia butchers Dragon Ball, period. They missed Pai, the important 3 tournament arcs of Dragon Ball. Did they not even watch the show? Thinking about... They do mention the tournament arcs. They do mention tournament arcs in it. I didn't read the entire article verbatim, but they do mention the fact that... They don't mention Pai specifically, though. They're like, oh, well, through a bunch of tournaments and adventures, they slowly collect all the balls, is kind of what they say. Thinking about it, probably missed the order if they highlighted the text by accident, moved the Frieza portion out. No, it's a completely unbroken sentence. It's a completely unbroken sentence. Dragon Ball, they put... Eventually, the High Demon Piccolo uses the Dragon Balls to rejuvenate himself, then kill Shenlong, while Goku and his gang travel to another world to use their Dragon Balls instead and prevent the alien overlord Frieza from getting them himself. That's one sentence. They didn't accidentally... But then, even stranger, the weird thing is, none of that is different in 15 years. From the 2001 edition to the newest edition in 2015. They didn't change it. Why? You would think people tell them that. They didn't want, probably heard way too much from butthurt fans, and they just got salty and they didn't want to change it or something. Oh no, fuck you, we're gonna keep our mistake. We're gonna own it. Or something, I don't know. I keep laughing at that, dying and then being reborn as a blonde-haired Super Saiyajin. The Black Star Dragon Balls and GT spread across the universe. Ah! There you go. The Cantonese movie was done by only as a fan creation, like the Korean movies too. Oh, interesting. But anyway, so we're almost at 2 hours, but I do want to do some reading, so we'll go over 2 hours a little bit. Not too much over 2 hours, okay? I want to watch more One Piece. We got new episodes. We kind of like go in batches of 21 because I binge it so much. Oh my god. We finished Arlong. Arlong was very good. Although hot take, potentially hot take, I thought Arlong was just as good as Baratier. I like Baratier a lot, and I think Arlong was also really, really good. I don't think that Arlong was like, whoa, guys, that's where it got really good. I was like, I liked it episode 1. I liked it episode 2. I wasn't waiting for it to get good, really. And I also really liked Syrup Island with Usopp's introduction and Kuro and all that. That was a really good arc. I liked that one. That was my favorite part of the show so at that point. And then Baratier was even better. And then Arlong Park was probably a little bit better. I think even like the ending of it is really strong. And the thing that obviously Nami's whole moment and things like that, it's great. It's really good. But Baratier is also really, really good. Anyway, that's just my One Piece takes for the week. But now we're going on the rest of East Blue for this week. Dragon Knight. Dragon Fist. Mixing romance and rough stuff. Do you mean action? Like, it sounds like, based on the description, like the synopsis, it sounded like a martial arts thing. And they're like, it mixes romance and rough stuff. I'm like, huh? That was strange. But maybe they're just trying to spice it up. Dragon Warrior. It's called Dragon Warrior, but it's Dragon Quest. Like, they're describing Dino Daiboken. It says Dragon Quest in the hiragana. It's Dragon Quest. Why not call it Dragon Quest? And they still call it Dragon Warrior in the 3rd edition. Like, why? It's strange. Dragonar. Yeah, in this series in which Sunrise would would be the new Gundam, it wasn't, though it was better than Double Zeta Gundam. Okay. Weird edition. Again, Draven's Heaven, I mentioned it. Dream Crayon Kingdom, like the Junichi Sato, like Yume Crayon Kingdom. Not to be confused with Crayon Shin-chan! Okay. I wasn't going to. Just because they have the word crayon in the name, I am not a dumb anime fan that's gonna think, oh, like Crayon Shin-chan? Especially if you could have just described a little bit better of what the show was about, or what it looks like, or the fact that it's directed by Junichi Sato. I literally never made that connection to Crayon Shin-chan until you did just now, just by crayon in the title. Like, okay. Are there One Piece filler arcs? Yeah, there is 10. The anime is about 10% filler, but I'm not gonna look up what that filler really is, or keep that much track, or skip it, or anything. I don't really care. It's not that much filler. I've watched all the Naruto filler. I don't really give a shit. And I'm sure it's good because it's One Piece and the characters are good. Sorry, not gonna lie. This conversation, a combination of Shapes getting angry at them and the music is low-key amazing. Yeah, it is aesthetic, isn't it? I do enjoy. I'll probably keep the Moomin music. Based in where Baratier filmed. Yeah, Baratier is great and revered among fans as well, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, but like, as an outsider, I only ever heard about Arlong Park. All Arlong all the time. And I was on Twitter, and I mentioned that I was watching One Piece, and they're like, great. I thought Arlong was the first really great, well-written arc. And I was in the middle of Baratier when I read that, and I'm like, wait, were you paying attention to any of, not even like his backstory? Luffy's backstory? Not even like Zoro's backstory? Not even like Usopp's arc? What do you mean the first well-written? Like, all I said was just like, I don't know, I've been enjoying it the entire time. I like the whole show. I'm not waiting for it anyway. Which was strange to me. So glad you're enjoying One Piece. Let's go. Oh, it was bound to happen. If I liked Bleach and Naruto, I'm gonna love One Piece. Of course. Aside from the one the host directed episode, of course. Looking forward to that. Bomb Red. Hello. Dragon Warrior is what Dragon Quest was called in the West before 2005. Oh, fair enough. I don't know why they still call it Dragon Warrior in the revised edition, though. Dragon Warrior is the American name. Virus League, stay away. I'm laughing so hard at the crayon thing. Oh, do they have an article on Sato June? Probably. So true. Not to be confused with Crayon Shin-chan. So true. That's great. Duel. Pretty much the whole review, which I read. I was like, this is awful. I can't believe it. Dunbine. Garzey's was the only part of the series to be released in the U.S. And I'm like, really? I thought it was at the 2015. I was surprised. I could have sworn. Maybe I was confusing with Lotus War. Oh well. Well, we made it. And now we're just at about 2 hours. If I wasn't geeking about One Piece, I would have made it. But also, I just want to do some open reading, including DNA Angel. No, I'm sorry, not DNA Angel. DNA Squared. DNA Angel is next week because it's a 3rd edition entry. You'd be surprised how often DNA shows up because of like And Nero and Kidnapped, Old Name. You'd be surprised, I guess. I don't want to just put 2 because it's not going to show up. Ugh, I've been talking a lot. DNA Hunter? Alright, I guess that's close enough. There it is. DNA Square. Junta Momonari is a hapless boy with a real complex about sex. The merest thought of it makes him physically sick. But one day he will become a mega playboy, desiring 100 equally fecund. I have to write that word 2 down. Fecund? Hey, can you define that for me, please? Producing or capable of producing an abundance of offspring or new. I say. Fecund. I say. Fecund children. I don't even know if that's how I'm supposed to pronounce it. Fecund. Fecund children. And Agent Karine Aoi is sent back from the future to stop his genes from causing an uncontrollable baby boom. Unluckily for her, she shoots him with the wrong drug and ends up creating the very mega playboy she was sent back to prevent. Despite the popularity of similar boy meets dozen girl shows like Tenchi Muyo, this adaptation of video girl eye creator Masakazu Katsura's 94 Shonen Jump manga underperformed in its anime incarnation. Even though DNA Squared contains all the elements thought to guarantee success, including a geeky Jekyll and macho Hyde subplot as Junta's playboy persona takes periodic control of his body and libido, the series was taken off the air early and ignominiously. What's that word mean? Maybe I'm just dumb. I wish I had this vocabulary for my videos. I keep using very and really and like and ugh. I'm getting sick of my own. I was like, I can't use the same words a bunch. It's annoying. Ignominiously. Translate. Define. No definition found! I'm gonna leave that as is. Ignominiously forced to finish its run on video. With revisionist hindsight, the video episodes were shuffled among the actual TV episodes, and now comprise of the second, third, and final chapters in the 15-episode series available in Japanese stores. It was parodied in the pornographic computer game Time Stripper, and is much imitated in anime such as DNA Hunter and Dokuro-chan. They didn't really give their opinion about it, but that's okay. They don't need to. That's fine. Host of the movie is also amazing. Yeah, I've seen it. I've also seen Stampede, long before I watched One Piece. I've experienced a lot through osmosis, unfortunately. But this is still some things I was really happy and surprised because you don't hear too much about, because One Piece is just that big. The first One Piece arcs are very comfy for me and do a good job of setting up the series for more large-scale arcs. Yeah. I wonder how they'd handle writing about BL anime. Well, I read their article on Door into Summer, and it was, like, kind of blunt. It was something. Victor wanted me to read a particular something. What's this? Hoshikuzu Paradise. Hoshikuzu Paradise. Hoshikuzu. Paradise Without Stars. A love comedy about Hiroshi, a normal teenage boy who discovers after his mother's death that his real father is a famous singer. Moving in with his newfound parent, Hiroshi must cope with having a stepmother who is closer in age to himself than her husband, and who, until the previous week, he used to fantasize about whenever he saw her on TV. Based on a Shonen Sunday manga by Katsuaki, who would also draw one of the manga adaptations of Escaflowne several years later. That's it. Very, very short. Not much with that one. Here's what it is. Ooh, felt my bone crack on that one. Oh, I didn't know about the run. You watch Stampede? Isn't that the one where they, like, literally every character shows up? Yeah. I watched it in theaters. Because my friend, a longtime friend of mine, who in college, always would talk my ear off about One Piece, and other things, and I'd obviously buy into it. I'd be interested, and I'd be into the conversation and stuff, and ask him stuff, and where things are at, and things like that. And I've obviously been interested for a while. And then we watched the sixth movie together because I was doing the hosted thing. And then he wanted to watch Stampede when it was coming out in theaters and wanted to see it with me. So I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know when I'd be watching One Piece, so who knows, you know? So I don't remember much of it. I'm not going to go back and look. Now that I'm actually watching One Piece, I'm not looking anything up specifically. So like when I heard about the 7 warlords, I have a feeling of who some of them are, but I also don't quite know, right? I know at this point we know it's Mihawk and Jinbei, and we know who Jinbei is. We're like, ooh, I know who that is, you know. But Mihawk and Jinbei, and then Arlong is supposed to be as strong as Jinbei. I think is what they said. So we don't know the other ones. I don't know the other ones, and I know who the 4 Yonkus are. They were like, it's funny. They said there's 3 major powers in the Grand Line. It's the 7 of these warlords. And then 2 others, and they didn't mention who the 2 others were, but I'm almost positive it's the Navy and the Yonko, like the 4 emperors sort of thing. And I know who 3 of them are. I know all 4 of them, and I know Luffy becomes the 5th one. Although I imagine one of them, like Blackbeard, becomes a Yonko like kind of later on and replaces somebody, but I don't know who. Because I know he shows up in East Blue. I haven't seen his first appearance in East Blue, but I know he shows up very early and has that really cool scene, like this cool moment, this line that he has that I've seen before, that I'm looking forward to seeing in context, of course. But I know he just kind of like throws, I'm with the series sort of feel. I don't know how or when or anything, but I know that happens. What did they say about Sukuban Deka? To be under delinquent detective. Oh boy, that's gonna show up a couple. Delinquent. Delinquent and drag. They don't have an article called Delinquent Detective. Let's look up Sukeban Deka. I need to learn some new words. For real. They mentioned Sukeban Deka a lot. And it's listed as Sukeban Deka, aka Bad Girl Cop, in 1991. I love this track. Former high school tearaway, Saki Asamiya, soon ends up on the wrong side of the law and is stuck in the slammer just like her wayward mother. She is offered the chance to redeem herself by returning to school as an undercover agent to spy on the Mizuchi sisters' crime ring. It's an offer she can't refuse, since it's the only way to gain her mother a reprieve from death row. Armed only with a police-issue yo-yo and a very bad attitude, Saki goes back to school and finds herself facing the Mizuchis and their father, a criminal hiding behind a cloak of respectability. As allies, she has only a boy so fixated on her that he shaves his head to get her attention, and Junko, an innocent young artist whose talents make her a target for one of the sisters. Played in a deadly serious, deadpan manner that only accentuates its essential silliness, Sukeban Deka is an entertaining one-joke knockabout. Based on a 1976 manga by Shinji Wada in Hanato Yume magazine, it was soon co-opted for the male gaze in Hideo Tanaka's live-action TV series the same year. The anime version was released partway through a later series of live-action movie adaptations that also showcased cute young actresses in school uniforms. Ultimately, however, like its female lead, it's too bad to be good. And too good to be bad. Huh? What? This is perfect music to accompany my complete confusion. What do you mean? Ultimately, however, like its female lead, it's too bad to be good, and too good to be bad. Are you just saying words? After a DVD re-release of the live-action Sukeban Deka series, of course they don't elaborate. Doesn't elaborate. Leaves. Doesn't elaborate. Moves on. After a DVD re-release of the live-action Sukeban Deka series sold a surprising 130,000 copies in 2005, Toei announced that a new live-action movie was in the offing for 2006. You're not going to elaborate on that in the 3rd edition? Okay. Oh, I could have sworn it was localized. It technically was. As Bad Girl Cop. Ugh. He's calling it mid? does that even mean? I don't know. I mean, they do say it's entertaining one joke knockabout. Well, that's positive. But I really think I'm gonna give it a mixed when I ultimately get. I'll probably be baffled by this again months later, like months and months and months when I completely forgot that we read this, and I'm like, but also that's a pretty iconic line. It's too good. It's too bad to be good and too good to be bad. It's probably such an iconic line. I'll probably remember it, but maybe I won't. That's so funny. What the fuck? What a hell way to end the. If that's the end of the stream. If anyone has any other ideas or any questions, chilling. Got a couple. I like ending on round numbers, you know, like 2 hours and 2.5 hours, right? Not just 2 hours 16 or something. Depends what it is. But yeah. Good, good concurrent viewers. I love Sukabans. Yeah. So I mean, I'm starting to feel pretty good about the direction this is heading. You know, it's about the same as as the delightful surprises and baffling things, but also good articles and things. Again, I'm mostly talking about the weird stuff that stuck out to me. I'm not part of the problematic or net criticisms. Because it would be really hard to fully I'm not reviewing this book in the same way. If I was, I think I would be pretty mixed. It's like there's a lot of weird stuff in it that made me kind of rage or confused and felt kind of useless about. But there's also, by reading a lot of it, here's the real issue, unfortunately. I think the value I'm getting out of it is a value that I don't think the majority of people who buy this book are going to get. They're not going to read all of these really obscure titles that they've never heard of before. They're going to buy this book to find out what you said about Dragon Ball or whatever series you're talking about, and then they read it and they find out it's weird or like there's a couple that I think they really hit it out of the park for some of their articles and stuff. And, it's good or whatever. But there's just too many of them. They're just like, what the hell? But a lot of the good articles are ones that the people are never going to read. You know, like, again, this list of all these titles that I'm now interested in, the majority of them are because I've never heard of them before. And I probably wouldn't have given them a second look at all if I was like on Mal or something. Yeah, I think there really is a unique aesthetic to reading this book without any visual aid. Like, there are some visuals in this. Like, they sometimes have like little pictures, right? But they're always they're scattered kind of arbitrarily. Like, this Kimba picture is in D. You know? It's kind of all over the place. And you could probably like look up all the individual pictures and stuff. So it's interesting. Right? But there's no visuals for everything. So some of the time, I'm just kind of picturing the images, and I'm coming away with like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I'm kind of giving it a good faith, like, oh, that sounds good. Or when they talk negatively about it, I think of a shitty art style. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how psychologically this stuff, I think, is working on me as a reader. But yeah, it's just like they're not gonna read all of this back to back unless they are obsessed like I am. In which case, if you're obsessed like I am, you're gonna find a lot of these articles being like really weird and head scratching and making all these observations and stuff that you're gonna want to tell people about that stick out to you that you remember. You're not gonna be like, oh, that was a good article. Like, it's hard to talk positively about something. It's much easier to criticize something. And I'll admit, this is easy. You know, it's easy for me to write this stuff down and whatever, but it's a lot more challenging to really be like, no, that was good for this and this reason. You know? But, no. Also, police issued yo-yo is a gold movie. What did I say about Enmakun? Yeah, the Dragon Ball Girls was really bad. Enmakun. Do you mean Demon? You mean the new ones in the 2000s? Demon Lord Enmakun, or the 70s one? Let me know. But I'll read the new one because I think you mean the new one, which is in the 3rd edition actually. 93 results. Shonen magazine and shit like that. Okay. I didn't put a space in there for a reason. You know. Demon Lord. Oh, there we go. Good God. Let me know if that was the one you meant. Both. Okay. There's two separate articles. This is the 2006 show. Enma, a fire demon, and his companion Yuki, a snow demon, are the yin and yang detectives of Hell. Their assignment? To search the human world for demonic monsters who have escaped from blah blah blah. I mean, we've been here before. We've been here before, but the old town looks different now. Gonagai's manga Dororon Enma-kun was a popular kids TV series in '73. I don't know why they. Wait a minute. Why is this 2 articles? I'm gonna put that as a weird. They usually put all the stuff in one franchise, but why is this 2 articles now? Or maybe I put that somewhere else, like an earlier one. I don't know. That's all actually. Doesn't seem like it. I just have to put a lot of these in alphabetical order. Human Prince Enma-kun. Why are there 2 separate articles for 06 reboot and 73 series? I think usually they bundle them all together, right? Gundam's all one entry, right? We've been here before, it looks familiar. But this version is definitely more grown up. That doesn't mean it's abandoned the guy's trademark broad humor and lighthearted lechery, but there's a darker psychological intensity that makes for solid, convincing characters as well as intensifying the shivers. Superb and unobtrusive manipulation of sound and design enhances the horror and makes a solid, entertaining package. So maybe it's because they didn't want it to make BB too long or something. I don't know why. Like it means that they couldn't have reviewed Enma 2006 in this way. The story starts from a principle stated by Shigeru Mizuki, creator of Kitaro, and a great folklorist. Monsters that formerly dominated the streets at night are being pushed back by the glare of modern electric lighting. As Kakerenbo Hide and Seek reminds us, that doesn't make them less dangerous, and humans still need to be protected by those who understand how to handle evil. Those we might consider the enemy, even though they're keeping us safe. There was also another remake for the kiddies in 2011. Ghastly Enma Burning Up brings the Yokai Patrol from the first series, plus Enma's talking hat, back to Tokyo in the 1970s. The Brainspace animated TV series was produced by Nagai's own studio Dynamic Planning, Mainichi Broadcasting, and Starchild Records. It delivers oodles of silly fun in 12 half-hour episodes, delivered by director/writer Yoshitomo Yonitani, the Bretterman Gaogaigar guy, and Brigadoon, with design and animation by Takahiro Kimura. So they combine those 2 together, like those seem like completely different. Why is at Demon Prince Enma, why is the 70s one its own article, Dororon Enma? I don't understand. But yeah, the other article is pretty much just, it's literally almost entirely just synopsis, actually, of Dororon, of the 73 Enma. All the obvious hallmarks of a production from Gonagai, creator of Devilman, as the King of Hell discovers that several of his earthbound minions are not causing mayhem, but secretly plotting to overthrow him. He sends his little nephew, Little Enma, to solve the problem. And Little Enma teams up with mini-skirted Yukiko, daughter of the Snow Princess, and Kappo, the Water Demon, to form the Japanese Monster Patrol. Enma also has a sentient hat called Chapeau, a coward who always advises against danger but will always help out his young master in the end. Hiding out at the house of manga fan Tsutomu, who christens them, the group hunts down those who have abused the laws of hell. Their guide is Count Dracula himself, a disgraced demon who failed to report the conspiracy and who sulkily acts as Enma's Tokyo guide despite resenting having to take orders from a little brat. Dororon is a Japanese onomatopoeia for the sound of a spell occurring, loosely approximated by kapow. And they link the Demon Prince to Enma. 70s and Bakun series is aesthetic. Yeah? Cool. I am interested. And Mutual Lone Crit also was watching the 06 and Bakun and really liked it. Was recommending it. So at first I had heard of it, so I'm like, that sounds really interesting. There's a lot of Gonagai I haven't seen. The only Gonagai thing I think I've actually seen is Devilman Crybaby. I'm a real normie when it comes to Gonagai, actually. Actually, no, I've seen one other thing from him. It's some random OVA, I forget the name of it. Came out in 91. Steve Sakai covered it in the 91 series that Core put out. I watched that afterwards. Weird. Cool, but weird. About 8 minutes or so. Less or so. I don't know. Chicken Twitter. Thankfully, not as many people were doing anything. Yeah. I don't have too much else to say, I guess. That's what it is. Yeah, but I feel pretty good about this. This aesthetic. Ooh, Clearance Week got a chunky video coming out. Ah! Who the fuck even remembers that? Hey, don't fuck. I'm already defending the Oranga and I haven't even started watching it. This guy's getting a lot of quote tweets. Over 1,000 quote retweets from that elitist POV you're an elitist asshole mosaic that I tweeted about. I just was like, ha, bingo. I've watched so many of them. But like I like doing it. I take that as kind of a badge of honor personally. Although some of these are just like, huh? Why is that on here? I honestly I bet this is just somebody's favorites and they were like, they just took this as somebody's like, oh, you took elitist. At least it's not boring taste in anime, right? The fucking Trixie thing that a while back. What a throwback. Good times, TBH. Anyway. Hope you enjoyed the aesthetics of Moomin and such. Mosaic's amazing. Yeah, it's cool. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, let me pull it up. Not to put this person on blast. I actually kind of like what they have here. This one right here. I've seen most of them. Let me pull up my I won! I've seen most of them. I see Neoranga very soon, and then I get a bingo on the diagonal there. And then all I have to see is Tech on Kingcrete, and I've got the other diagonal. I don't know, I'm not too interested. I don't know when I'll get to Tech on Kingcrete. Kyoko, I don't know. But yeah, like, what the hell is Space, like, 2001 Nights doing there? See that on, like, above, bottom right corner, Cowboy Bebop, the one above that? Like, what is that? Anyway, just picking around at this point. Hope you guys had a good time with this stream. I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope to see you next week. Alright? You guys, you have a great week. Yo, peace.